Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm just wondering whether I'm a grumpy old man or if I'm living in a crazy ass world and this shit is truly insane. And my sanity is what is, is what makes me irritable just because I'm sane. There's so much shit now that I got a laundry list of crap that just drives me nuts now. And a lot of it is just the language used because a lot of the stuff, today on the internet and online and most of our interactions and stuff are online and most of the stuff we see or whatever is online got something to do with the internet. So it's language has the biggest impact and the stuff we see and hear the most. And I've got some pet peeves with this shit, like the whole microaggression thing, right? Oh, it's microaggression this and microaggression that. Using the thumbs up emoji is a microaggression. Just what kind of pitiful human being would say that? That an emoji is aggressive. I just that kind of stuff. It just really, I don't know. It just seems like humanity is on a downhill slide when we're upset because someone used a thumbs up emoji, and that's actually affecting our lives. That kind of shit. And another one is that term I hear a lot now is it hits different. Like, and the case in point here, I ran across a meme that said that McDonald's food used to be better back in the 70s and 80s. And I saw that, and it was on a Gen X channel or a Gen X group or whatever, and it was a Gen Xer saying this, that McDonald's hit different back then. And I don't really care, that young people are saying dumb shit. We said dumb shit when we were kids. All kids say dumb shit. I expect dumb kids to say and do dumb shit. I mean, it's just, they're supposed to be ridiculous and have fun, irritating old people. But when this shit starts pervading into, adult society, and I see adults talking like kids and trying to, I don't know what the hell they're trying to do, but that's when it starts getting under my skin a little bit, you know what I mean? Because when I was 15 or 16 years old and my grandpa had said some shit to me like, what's up, dude? That shit was gnarly or whatever, I seriously would have worried about him. I would have thought that something was wrong with him. I just can't, I can't even picture it. It's so ridiculous. But these grown ass people now are just saying this stuff that children's slang and using the term, using that language as normal adult language. And I don't know what the hell it is. I've heard of that of adults trying to remain young and that kind of stuff. But I always thought that was like an odd person, a rare event. An adult that just wouldn't let go of their youth or whatever, something like that. It was rare. But now I see that shit all the time online. 50-year-old people using slang terms that the kids are using now, and it just comes off weird to me anyway. Maybe, like I said, maybe I'm just a grumpy old man. Maybe that's the way of the future. But that kind of shit just, I don't know. I just don't like it. It makes you look pathetic in my eyes anyway. Makes people look pathetic when they're trying to emulate children. Children are supposed to emulate us. They're supposed to emulate our wisdom and our life experience. We're not supposed to be acting like children and talking like children. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just a grumpy old man, like I said. Then we gotta if we're going to talk about messed up language that's being used today, we have to throw the word toxic in there, because everything is toxic now, right? Toxic masculinity is the most toxic thing on the planet. You can't be a man. These kids can't grow up to be men because then they'd be toxic. And that kind of shit is just weird, and I think that shit's dangerous, for humanity, for people's mental health, especially young men today. And then I hear all this shit about generational trauma now. Generational trauma. Like if my great granddad went through a bad experience, I'm supposed to carry that around with me today because he got run over by a wagon or something, or okay, if people say it, all right, but there's so much that the science. And people say it all the time, science is learning new things. They're never wrong. They're just learning new things. Well, they're going to learn here pretty quick that generational trauma is bullshit and all this. So I don't know. It irritates me when people start inventing these reasons for being victims, and oh yeah, I had a nice childhood, and my parents stayed together my whole life. They didn't get divorced, and my dad and mom, they made good money, and they bought me all the stuff I wanted, and I just had a wonderful childhood. But I have generational trauma because my great grandfather was whatever, got lost in a storm one time or something, whatever. It's just ridiculous. I mean, it is really ridiculous. People are reaching and searching for ways to be victims and to, I need medication. I need to be medicated for that shit, for my generational trauma. I must, nobody else. I'm not going to be the only sane, healthy person around me. I've got to be traumatized too. All the toxicity in society, all the microaggressions and shit. My generational trauma, I can't deal with it. I need medication. And that leads me down a conspiracy theory path of that kind of shit, this kind of language and this kind of, these thoughts and ideas. That's the pharmaceutical and the mental health version of all the chemicals and shit in our food, right? They're putting all these chemicals and stuff in our food over in the food industry. Well, they're putting all these ideas and shit in our head in the healthcare industry, right? The mental health care industry, so that we'll stay sick all the time because they don't make money off of healthy people. It just doesn't happen. They cannot make money off of people that don't have generational trauma. If you need generational trauma for them to make money, you need some kind of trauma. You got to have it, or their stock won't go up. They won't make record profits next year. So they got to come up with all this bullshit to get healthy people on medication. And once you get on the medication, then you're sick. You know what I'm saying? Because all the side effects of that medication, you got to get on another medication to counteract the side effects of the first medication, to treat your generational trauma. So it's just sickening to me. And maybe I'm just a grumpy old man. Maybe everybody needs medication. Maybe we can't just be happy. Maybe we can't just be well-adjusted, normal human beings. Maybe, all of our generational trauma is forcing us to take medication. Maybe that's the truth. So, I don't know. Time will tell. Time will tell who the crazy ones are and who the sane ones are. And then the words triggered, and cringe. That kind of shit just. And everybody's using that shit just like you won't hear me use it unless I'm talking about how stupid that shit is. You know what I'm saying? But, the words triggered and cringe trigger me. I just, again, it's Triggered. Oh, it triggers me. I'm triggered. That's one of my triggers. Trigger. And you gotta walk on eggshells around these people. It's gonna make them cringe and trigger them and shit. Or they're gonna have to take some more medication, and that causes trauma. And if you trigger them or make them cringe, then you're toxic and all this weird shit. It's utterly and completely ridiculous. And the thing about it is, like I said earlier, that if it was just kids saying all this dumb shit, that would be fine. Kids do dumb shit. I did dumb shit when I was a kid. I might be the only one. Maybe y'all didn't, but I did dumb shit when I was a kid. And so I understand, kids doing and saying dumb shit. But what I don't understand is how this kind of shit gets into mainstream discussions, and how does that kind of stuff get into mainstream therapy, okay, and the health industry, all the microaggressions. You're going to go to a therapist and they're going to talk about microaggressions now, and toxicity, how you don't need toxicity and you got to stay away from all this toxicity and this shit, right? I mean, that dumb shit has made it into that therapeutic industry, the healthcare industry. These kind of ideas and language has made it into there, where instead of just taking straight up scientific evidence and proof and bringing that down and trying to help people with it, therapy is like this reverse thing where it comes from the ideas come from the population that need the help. Supposedly they need the help, they can't help themselves. And I've told this story before, but we've got new subscribers and stuff, but I actually went to therapy with my wife because she wanted to go to therapy. We were arguing there a little bit, went through a little bit of a rough patch, and she wanted to go to therapy. So I said, okay, I'll go to couples therapy with you. Ain't gonna hurt me. If it makes you happy, let's go. So we go there and we explain to the therapist what the hell, we're arguing a lot or whatever. And the therapist looks at us and says, have y'all ever considered divorce? Now, yeah, we did. But we're coming to you because we rejected that idea and we don't want to do that. Wait, I mean, that's all you have for us? So we dumped that therapist, went to the next one. The same thing. Like 3 or 4 therapists in a row, to the point where my wife started thinking, hey, maybe they're right. Maybe these, they have therapy certificates or whatever kind of education they have. Maybe they're right. And I just had to tell her, no, no, they're not right. They're idiots. They're morons. They don't know how to fix the problem. We didn't go there to finish breaking our relationship. We went there to repair it. You don't take something to a repair shop and it's obviously, if you took an old TV to a repair shop and the knob was just, the knob was loose, and they tell you, well, you can just throw this TV away. Yeah, I know I can throw it away, but that's not why I brought it to you, to fix the damn knob. Just fix the damn knob, or tell me how, or do something. I know I could have just thrown it away. That's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense at all. Or you can just throw it away. And that leads back to the whole thing that our whole society is like that now. Everything is just throwaway. Relationships, computer gadgets, technology, TV, cell phones, everything's disposable. Just throw the shit away. You don't fix anything anymore. And that's a sad thing that has left our society and our civilization, especially when it comes to relationships. Because a lot of people, if I had been different than who I am, those therapists might have talked us into getting a divorce. You know what I'm saying? But I was just, no, no, that's not going to happen. But we worked it out without them damn therapists, and we're fine. Me and my wife have an awesome relationship. But if we would have listened to those morons, we would have gotten a divorce, which is just preposterous. Anyway, so all of this stupid language that people are using, and in order to claim victimhood and to fit in with society now, because now it's cool. It's the in thing to have some kind of affliction, right? That's the cool thing. If you don't have an affliction, if where's your medication? What are you on? What are you taking? I got to go see my therapist. My therapist said this. My therapist said that. This kind of shit. And it's just sickening. How are you going to make that cool to be on medication? How do we get here with that bullshit? Well, we got here with all of the microaggressions and the toxicity and the, all of this language that people are using to explain why they're behaving poorly, why they're behaving badly, because they don't want to take responsibility for their actions. They just want to push it off on something else. They want to be a victim. It's generational trauma. It's, male toxic masculinity. It's all this other bullshit. It's microaggressions and all this other shit. And when people just need to put their damn big folk pants on and pull on their boots and toughen up a little bit and accept responsibility for their actions, make better decisions. If your life is shit, then you probably made some bad decisions. I'm just saying. You probably made some bad decisions. Not always. Sometimes you get kicked down. I've had it happen to me. Sometimes I get kicked down and there's nothing I can do about it. No matter what decision I make, I'm screwed either way. But 99% of the time in my life, I made the decision that got me there. So sometimes people just gotta realize that and accept responsibility for their actions and quit blaming everybody else and playing the victim. Either that or I'm just a grumpy old man. And I'll leave you there with that. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, I'll leave that link down in the description, or you can head over to the channel page and become a member that way. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can head over to Buy Me a Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I'll leave that link down in the description too. Thank you very much to those of you who do that. If you're interested in Gen X gear, we got some pretty cool stuff over there at Redbubble. Gen X Thinks and Gen X branded stuff. T-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers, ball caps. But I'll leave that link down in the description too for any of you who are interested. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out one hell of a lot, so thank you very much to those of you who do that. I really do appreciate it. And if you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments. Or you can email us, and the email is genxthinks@gmail.com. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.